Good morning and welcome to the Mindfulness Challenge Day 10. We're in double figures. Hope you're feeling well. Hope things are as calm and as gentle as they can be wherever you are watching this in the world. I said the other day that this feels as much like a coronavirus blog as much as it does a mindfulness 14-day challenge. And I think the opening of it, we always talk a little bit about how I am, how I'm feeling, how my family is. I'm still, as you can tell, a little bit, but this morning was the first morning in probably 14 days where I actually felt a little bit more human, because I've just felt really bad. And if the truth be known, sometimes when I wake up in the morning, the only thing that's got me out of bed is to dust myself off, splash some water on my face, have a shave, have a shower, or whatever it is, and come down here and crack on with the next chapter on the blog, because I know how much it means to everybody. So I'm doing my meditation, but this has been good for me as well through a very difficult period with my family being ill. Touch wood, God bless, it looks as if we have the coronavirus, because all of the symptoms are what we have. But we are very blessed and we are very thankful that we seem to have the very mild form, which isn't good, by the way. But it's not the respiratory side of things, which then exacerbates, if that's such a word. I can never say some words, but it's even more difficult with a blocked nose. We seem to have avoided that, which, I am absolutely 100% thankful and grateful to God for all of that. I've got a little bit of colour back in my face today. So first of all, thank you again for all of your support. Thank you for being with me. Today we're going to do two things. We're going to do a lake meditation. We've done a mountain, we're going to do a lake. And we are going to talk today about blame. And we're going to talk about blame, and we're going to talk about the difference between empathy and sympathy. And the reason why I think blame's important is because when we were ill, and we're still a bit ill, but when we were like proper badly ill with this, the first thing that comes into your mind, isn't it, is, where did I get it from? Who would have given me this? And we are inherently a nation, a country, a race of blamers. And the moment something goes wrong, we want to find somebody to blame for it. And the magnitude of the blame is dependent on the magnitude of the issue or problem that's gone wrong. And how many times do we blame others for things that have gone wrong? This is nobody's fault, my end. People have walked around asymptomatic with it, and we've picked it up along the way somewhere. But it's human nature to blame somebody. When we do something in the house, there's a great story about the lady who drops a coffee cup on the floor and coffee goes everywhere, and the first thing she wants to do is blame her husband. Her husband's not even there, but her husband come home late the night before from basketball practice, and because of that she was tired and she had to have a second cup of coffee. And that second cup of coffee she dropped, and then the only reason she had it is because her husband came home late the night before. It just absolutely, we do it all. We look for this, Inspector Clouseau attitude of finding what's wrong. And why do we do that? We do it. It's a human nature. We dissect the issue of what's happened and we work it back till we find somebody else is at fault in that situation. And when things go wrong the first time, the first thing we want to do is find fault. We'd rather find fault in somebody quite obscure, like, the husband's fault, not coming home late from basketball, than it be nobody's fault. Why can't it be no one's fault? Why can't it just be an accident? Why can't you have just dropped your coffee? Why can't we have contracted coronavirus because it just happened? Nobody's fault, really. We do this because it gives us a semblance, a part of control. If you blame somebody, you're back in control again. It's not your fault, was it? And for me, blaming is simply the discharging of discomfort and pain. It has an inverse relationship with accountability, because accountability is a very vulnerable and lonely process. If we blame somebody else, it's easier for us, isn't it? And it's about, a way of us discharging our anger and our feelings at that moment in time when something's gone wrong. People who blame a lot, and we all do it. Let's not just say I'm not blaming people, okay? But people who blame a lot have a tendency, all right, not to have the tenacity and grit to hold people accountable. We spend far too much energy. Like when something goes wrong, like 15, 20 seconds, we're looking for somebody to blame. And blaming is very corrosive. Blaming people is very corrosive. And one of the reasons why that is we miss empathy. So when we're listening to a problem, a lot of the times when we're listening to that problem, internal problems or external problems or problems with friends who phone up and whatever else, we're not listening for how we can help. We're actually listening to find who's at fault. And that can be a really big problem, because I think when that happens, we miss the opportunity to give empathy, to share in somebody else's experience in a way that is a connection. And we're just gonna, when somebody gives you a problem and they're talking to you, say, yeah. Oh, it's his fault, was it? And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Why have we gone down that road? We don't need to go down that road, do we? Let's help the person with the problem. We don't need to blame people. But it is that, the blame, being able to discharge your anger and actually, just don't worry about the accountability of it all. And as I said, blaming is something that is very corrosive, and it affects us, and it allows us to miss the opportunity to have that empathy. Now, a lot of people who watch this, a lot of people who work with me on my courses, they are empaths. They are naturally good, and I'll go through in a minute 4 things that I talk about in terms of how to have and how to build and how to cultivate. What we practice grows. We can grow and we can practice. We can grow empathy. Empathy is something that's really, really important. But what's the difference between empathy and sympathy? A lot of us are sympathetic, not empathetic. And there's a big difference. And when we look at empathy drives connection. When you are showing true empathy with somebody who has a problem, because you can share and you've opened up that experience inside of you as much as inside of them, a friendship, a connection, a bond, something lights, something grows. Whereas sympathy, for me, it actually drives disconnection. And I'll explain why in a minute. But there's a big study that was undertaken talking about, what are the 4 main qualities of being an empath, of having empathy. And the first one is perspective taking, and the ability to take on board somebody else's perspective or experience as true, and how you can feel that level of truth and that level of perspective and that level of emotion and a level of everything. You can take that on board. The second phase to that is staying out of judgment, which is difficult because, again, it comes back to the blame culture. We're taught from an early age to find the culprit. Let's blame somebody. There's always a smoking gun. And we abscond ourselves of any responsibility. It goes back to, the lady dropping the second coffee cup because her husband came home from basketball. She just dropped a coffee cup. In theory, she probably wasn't thinking, she was rushing, she was doing whatever, blah, 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 and she dropped it. Maybe it's no one's fault. Maybe it's just an accident. But staying out of judgment is something that's really difficult for us to do. But an empath naturally does it. The ability to not look for blame and abscond ourselves of all of that responsibility. So staying out of that judgment. And also then, third thing is recognizing emotion in other people, being able to sit and feel and understand the emotion of the person you're with. and letting it flow and letting it be and letting it grow. And that's with yourself as well. So, if you're looking at these things, can you take your own perspective? Can you stay non-judgment on your issues or problems? And can you recognize the energy and the emotion within you and be able to sit with that? And lastly, the fourth thing is the ability to communicate all of the above. Can we communicate with perspective, with non-judgment, with understanding and recognizing the emotion? And I think that empathy, for me, is the feeling and connection with people when somebody has a problem. It's that sacred space when somebody's in a very dark hole and they shout out for help. It's when you climb halfway down the ladder. I never say go all the way in, because I believe the person who has an issue needs to get on the ladder and start climbing halfway up. But when they can climb halfway down into that hole and say, I know what it's like in here, and you're not alone. Come with me now and let's climb out of this together. Sympathy is when you just say things and move on. So something happens and you say, yeah, that's awful. Want a cup of tea? And we all do it. We've all done it. But empathy is a choice. It's a vulnerable choice. Because you see, in order for us to connect with someone, we have to open that emotion, that space inside ourselves to allow us to truly connect with that feeling. So I'll give you an example. I had somebody email me a couple of days ago talking about how difficult it is because they've just lost their father. Now, sympathy for me would have been, I'm really sorry about that. Let me know if you need anything. Empathy is more about, I understand. Because what you're doing now is I'm opening up my emotion. It's a vulnerable choice. It allows me I have to open my side, my space, my sacred area, my issues, my emotions, to truly connect with their feeling. And a lot of things when we work with sympathy, we normally, the general response is, well, at least. And what I mean by that is we try and sugarcoat it. Yeah. So, I'm suffering from the coronavirus. Well, at least you get to stay in for 14 days and, you can do, I've lost my dad. I lost my dad to cancer. Yeah. Yeah, well, at least now he's not suffering anymore. So that's sympathy. Empathy is then, I've lost my dad to cancer. And we just said the four things, which are understand the perspective, staying out of judgment, recognizing that emotion, and then being able to communicate that. When we're faced with difficult situations, we try to put a positive spin on it. What happens, when, again, sympathy is, my dad's just died of cancer. I'm really sorry about that, but at least he's in a better place now. What if I said, my dad's just died of cancer, and somebody said, I don't even know what to say right now, but I'm so glad you told me, and I'm here for you if you need anything. The truth is, rarely does the response make things better. What makes something better is the emotional and empathetic connection when you connect with yourself and you connect with the person who has the problem. And that makes a huge difference. For me, that's true empathy, true connection. We don't need to look for sugarcoatings at those moments. We don't need to look to blame. We just need to say, I don't know what to say right now. I'm just really glad you told me. And I'm here if you need anything. I hope that makes sense to you. We're going to now go into the lake meditation. Sorry I did it a little bit there, but me talking about empathy and talking about situations and problems in my life has opened them up. And that's because I believe that I always try to have a true connection with myself and a true connection with others. And I'm really pleased I have that ability. I'm really pleased. So what I'm going to do now is I want you to take a lying down position or a reclining position. So you just need to find that position. And whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to put up an image, and I'm going to play some beautiful natural music. So as I said, this is a lake meditation. So this meditation is done in a lying or reclining position and begins, as always, really, by if you're in that position now, if you're not, press pause and get into that position, and when you do, take me back off pause. And as always, it begins by paying attention to the actual sensations of contact and support as you lie here. Noticing where your body is making contact with, how your weight is distributed on the floor, the bed, or the recliner. Actually sensing into your body, feeling your feet, your legs, your hips, the lower and upper body, arms, your shoulders, and your head. And when you're ready, bring an awareness to the breath, the actual physical sensations, feeling each breath as it comes in and as it goes out. Letting the breath be just as it is, without trying to change or regulate it in any way. Allowing it to flow easily and naturally, with its own rhythm and its own pace. Knowing that you are breathing perfectly well right now. Nothing for you to do. Allowing a sense of deep being, a sense of deep and complete wholeness in this very moment. Just letting your breath be your breath. And as you rest here now, I want you to let an image form in your mind's eye of a lake, a body of water, large or small, held in a receptive basin by the earth itself. Noting in the mind's eye and in your own heart, the water likes to pool in low places. It seeks its own level. It asks to be held. It asks to be contained. And if you let this image gradually come into a greater focus, even if it doesn't come as a visual image, allow the sense of the lake and the feeling of its presence. The lake you're invoking may be deep or shallow, it may be blue or green, it may be muddy or clear. With no wind, the surface will be flat, mirror-like, reflecting trees, rocks, skies and clouds, holding everything in itself momentarily. Wind may come and stir up waves, causing the reflections to distort and disappear. But then sunlight may sparkle in the ripples, and they dance on the waves in a play of shimmering diamonds. When night comes, it's the moon's turn to dance on the lake, or when the surface is still. So it can reflect along with the outline of the trees and the shadows. In the winter, the lake may freeze over. You may be teeming with movement and life below. As you rest here, breathing, as you establish of the lake in your mind's eye, allowing yourself, when you feel ready, to bring it inside yourself completely, so that your being emerges with the lake. It becomes one with it, so that all your energies in this moment are held in awareness with openness and compassion for yourself. In the same way as the lake's waters are held by the receptive and accepting basin of the earth herself. Breathing as the lake, feeling its body as your body, allowing your mind and heart to be open and receptive moment by moment, to reflect whatever comes near, or to be clear all the way to the bottom, experience moments of complete stillness when both reflection and water are completely clear. And other moments perhaps when the surface is distributed or disturbed, choppy, stirred, reflections and depth are lost for the moment. And through it all, you lie here simply observing the play of the various energies of your own mind and heart. The fleeting thoughts and feelings, impulses and reactions, which come and go as ripples and waves, noting their effects. In contact with them, just as you're in contact with the way you feel and your various changing energies that play on the lake. The wind, the waves, the light, the shadows and reflections, the colours and the smells. Noticing the effect of your thoughts and feelings. Do they disturb the surface and the clarity of the mind's lake? Do they muddy the waters? Is that okay with you? Isn't having a rippling on a wavy surface a part of being a lake? Might it be possible to identify not only with the surface of your lake, but with the entire body of water, so that you become the stillness below the surface as well, which at most experiences only gentle undulations, even when the surface is very choppy and ragged. And in the same way in your meditation practice and in your daily life, you can be in touch not only with the changing content and the intensity of your thoughts and feelings, but also with the vast and wavering reservoir of awareness itself, residing below the surface of your mind. The lake can teach this. Remind us of the lake within ourselves. If you find this image to be of value, you may want to use it from time to time to deepen and enrich your meditation practice. You may also invite this lake image to empower you and guide your actions in the world as you move through the unfolding of each day, carrying this vast reservoir of mindfulness within your heart, dwelling here in the stillness of this moment until signaled by the sounds of the bells. We can be the lake in silence now, affirming our ability to hold in awareness and acceptance, right now, all of our qualities of mind and body, just as the lake sits held, cradled, and contained by the earth, reflecting the sun, the moon, the stars, the trees, the clouds, the sky, and the birds and light, caressed by the air and the wind, which bring out and highlight its sparkle, its vitality, its potential moment by moment. So in the time that remains before the bell rings, which will mark the end of this meditation, continue to sustain the lake's meditation on your own in silence, moment by moment, being the lake with its own storms and moments of peace. Okay, so we're on day 10, we're in double figures. I think we've covered lots of things off here, and there's lots of things for you to go back on. What I would say is, although we're doing this sequentially, you can always go back to any of the videos, and if you forgot about something or did something or whatever, and that's important. And I think it really is special that we can share these moments, and mindfulness really can be something that we take out of the back of all of this. And it's a thing that we can, it's a way of really being your best self, to be able to be in the moment and treat yourself with loving kindness, which we've done all the time. Understand the difference about emotions and thoughts and blame and sympathy and empathy and caring and all of these things, to try and make us this, quite rounded and grounded and lighter and brighter person. And I hope this morning when you woke up you said, "Good morning, Julian, I love you. Good morning, Julian, I love you." Well, good morning to you, and I love you too. So have a lovely day. Stay safe, stay calm, stay relaxed. Do the things today that you put off from yesterday, and let's make progress and go forward. So be love and give love. Take care. See you all tomorrow for day 11. And just remember, it's Sunday today, so let's treat it as a normal Sunday if we can. But stay in. Listen to what they're telling you, build your immune system, and take care. God bless. Goodbye.